Now, if you did many 10-minute all-out efforts, of course you would get better at doing 10 minutes all-out, but not as much better as if you use that same amount of time and you trained each specific aspect of what it takes to do 10 minutes all-out with a good performance, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a totally different way to look at it. You're deconstructing the end results that you're looking for.
And also, if you repeat that time after time, it's much harder to keep doing 10 minutes all out than if you break that down and you train one day just lactate tolerance, one day aerobic capacity, one day this, one day that. I think that's much easier for your mind and your body, because if you train lactate tolerance, means you do 30 seconds all out and then you stop for 30 seconds, which builds up a significant amount of lactate in your legs, but you're not actually suffering because your heart has time to absorb the workload and calm down a little bit, and your mind as well. So you are not struggling as much as you would have if you just did 10 minutes all out. And you have more lactate in your legs when you end up. After 10 minutes, if you do 30-30s, you have probably, I don't know, all of the lactate, 15, whatever. If you do 10 minutes all out, you probably have less, like 8 or 9. Because your heart and your breathing is also struggling to keep up, no? But if you make enough space to actually relax your breathing and your heart rate and everything like that, then your body can just produce a lot of lactate, and therefore it gets better at washing it away.
So when you put that into practice then, when you're in, like, I'm thinking back to last year, stage 19 Tour de France, you win stage 19 Tour de France, come to the line with Ben O'Connor and Casper Asgreen, if I remember correct. So you're in the break and you're probably not the fastest finisher out of these three, but does the fact that you have gone through this process of iterating season after season, and you haven't left any advantages that you could have had, you've gone after and chased every advantage you possibly could. Does that give you like a confidence when you're in a move like that to think, regardless of the results, I'm happy because I've done everything I can? Or is it you have to win that day?
No, it makes you more relaxed, because after 10 years, you make many mistakes, you explore your limits, and you realize that the best you can do in a race is your best. You can't possibly do better than your best. And you learn sooner or later, everyone, even Jonas Vingegaard or Tadej Pogacar, they all meet some others that are stronger than them in some aspects. So you realize that you can't possibly win everything in any scenario. So there's always a possibility that someone will be better than you because they worked in a more specific way for that, or they are more talented, or they have better equipment, and you accept that. So you don't force yourself to try to win the race. You force yourself to do your best performance, and often that affects you in a way to make you for your objective performance to be better, because you don't strive to win. You are not stressed about winning. You're just stressed about doing your best. You focus on your own effort. You make your own strategy adjusted to what you think or predict the others are going to do, and this ends up being a much better and more constructive way of racing than if you just rely on your emotions and try to force to win or be stressed about winning.
How do you measure your efforts that day? So there's you, Ben O'Connor, Casper Asgreen. I would say Casper probably looked like he was going the strongest that day.
He was the strongest.
But how do you measure that effort where you got to be collaborative? The three of you guys got to work together, almost like a team time trial, to get to the finish. But then you got to somehow change that dynamic from collaborative to competitive so you beat the other guys. How do you measure the effort when you're doing your turns on the front so you're enough effort to bring the group forward, but also sparing enough effort that when the relationship turns from collaborative to competitive, that you still have a little bit more juice in the tank than the other guys?
You need to adjust your intermediate goals to achieve the bigger ambition, which is to try and win the stage. So you need to move from intermediate goal to the next one and so on, and you need to adjust that as you go. So the first goal, of course, is to actually try to be a part of the winning breakaway, or of the breakaway to start with. And you already, not just necessarily, you need to adjust that sometimes. Like sometimes you need to really force yourself and not think about the final and saving energy for the final to actually get in the breakaway, because sometimes physically and psychologically it's hard to do a close to like a 95% effort to actually just be in the breakaway to start with. So you need to adjust that. So you start to try to be smart and efficient and not spend too much energy to be in the breakaway. Then if you say, oh, maybe this is the move that is actually going, then maybe you need to force yourself suddenly that you do almost your peak effort to actually just be in the breakaway. Once you achieve that, you move on to the next ambition, which is to save the most energy when the group is still big, when the breakaway is big and rotating together. Then you need to strive to be as efficient as you can be, a zero, to eat well, drink well, be focused, to not forget about any detail, try to be smooth, to be smart, to make sure that you know who you're with, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, think about different strategies, observe the others, see who's on a good day, who's not on such a good day, to remember who had difficulties to actually join the breakaway to start with, because then you might adjust your practicing in the final accordingly, because someone might have spent more energy than the others to actually be in the same group with you, and so on. And then as you get to the crucial point of the race in the final, when the breakaway riders attack each other, of course you need to do everything to be in the winning move. And it was the moment of it was the moment that Kasper attacked on the steepest part of the last climb, when everybody was so much on their hands and knees from the whole day of riding hard that nobody, I think, dared to follow that move, because you also knew that if you follow and enough riders do the same, then you basically risk that others get on the wheel. And we were straight after the steep part of the climb. It was an easy part of the climb, and you knew that the others are going to get a tow, and you're basically done for the day. They're going to have advantage over you on the next easier section of the climb. So it's always a gamble, but I don't know. I felt that it was the moment. The attack was so violent that nobody even dared to follow. Me and Ben O'Connor were the only ones who had the balls to go with him. And when I looked back, I knew straight away that it was a done deal. Nobody else decided to have a go. They were all afraid and waiting for each other, because you're always in favor. If you are the last guy who follows the tow, then you're way better off than if you are the third or fourth or the first guy who follows, no? But it's always a risk, there's always a risk that someone else is joining and then you're flicked. And then as you move on, you need to make sure that you stay in the position to win the stage. So if you are off the front, you need to work together to put each other in a position to still be in the winning move. Or if you're behind, you need to work together selflessly to actually ride yourselves back in the contention for the win. Because if you're not in contention for win, then you can't win anyway. So you need to forget about everything else and make sure that you're in contention to win the stage. And only when you are sure that this is the group, that the winner is coming from that group, then you start to think then you start to be selfish, and you start to think about your sprint and your strategy in the sprint and so on. And then for the sprint, I knew that Kasper was so much stronger and faster.
And did you know Ben O'Connor was going to come over the top?
Yeah, I knew that my only chance is for Ben to attack and me to completely rely on Kasper on covering that move. If Kasper didn't cover, I wouldn't have covered, and Ben would have won the stage, which was fine with me. But this was my only ticket for for stage win. If Casper covered that and I stayed glued to his back wheel and tried to come around him in the last 150 meters.
If you enjoyed this video and you want to keep binge watching the content, check this video. It's a cracker. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way I can catch you in the next one. See you then.